This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Bev's Video Kingdom is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised.
Bev's Video Kingdom really is brought to you by...
What the fuck?
What's up, dude?
One of my renters broke the toilet again. That dude takes giant shits. Now I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Why don't you hire a property management company or something to take care of that stuff?
Because they suck, and they take 10%.
You know, our dude Hank owns and manages Heritage Realty Partners. I think he said he only charges 5%, and he visits each property at least once a month.
That's right, he's always posting beers from the road. You have his number?
Actually, I do. His personal number is 805-451-5734.
Perfect. Now he can deal with my renter's big shits.
Heritage Realty Partners.
For all your property management and investment needs.
Bev's Video Kingdom is brought to you by... Are you a young woman who wants to give your flower away in a dark and stormy night? Does your boyfriend pressure you into taking your shirt off even though you're sure you saw something lurking in the kitchen downstairs a few minutes ago? Do you ever think, I'd love to have sex right now, but if these sweater puppies see the light, I know I'll get a knife through the clavicle? Well, we've got the thing for you. Real Feel Kevlar breastplates are the answer to your prayers. With real military-grade nipples and puncture-proof cleavage, you can feel safe letting those nips slip out and not have to worry about all those pesky escaped knife murderers waiting in the wings. Our Real Feel technology ensures your inexperienced boyfriend won't even know the difference. Real Feel Kevlar breastplates. Because there's a shortage of perfect breasts in this world. Be ashamed to ruin yours.
Oh, nice call. Yeah.
Oh, you have that horror body, but you got that love heart right there. Does that make sense?
I love that.
Start this thing.
Good afternoon, gentlemen and ladies. How's everybody doing?
Doing great, man. How are you?
You are tuned into the BVK podcast, and we are going to get a little bit spooky this evening. When does this come out, Brad? Are we coming out like right the couple of days after Halloween, or are we coming out the week before Halloween?
Let's see, the 17th, the 24th. We're like
24th?
a week
Okay.
ahead of it.
So we're like, we're within stabbing distance of Halloween. Everybody can go out and watch. Do we hear the buzzing that we got going right now?
Oh, no, that's just that nice little Scotchback refrigerator.
Scary refrigerator sound.
Jesus, dude. Oh, there we
Things
go.
are getting
There we
spooky
go.
over here already.
Everybody's
oh,
getting
Lord.
excited.
Jesus.
Brad coming with the sound.
I feel like, and it's probably totally been done, but like, how many like YouTube rappers have a song using that beat? There has to be a lot, right? Mm-hmm. They're just throwing on some like bass, a little bit of bass on there. So anyways, like I always say, we are gathered here today to talk about the classic 1978 movie Halloween, written, directed, and scored by John Carpenter.
What a talented dude.
Yeah, right? So like what is the time signature of that
Dude,
of that?
You're looking at me like I'm a music major.
Are we getting into like a music like detail
This
podcast
is the type
right
of
now?
stuff that
The
Scott
thing is,
should
I
know.
am a music major, and I'm like sitting here, dude. I'm too fucking tired to be.
He's also a farmer, and it's fucking harvest. Leave him alone, Zach.
Music major, accomplished musician, almond schlupper.
It's like it's like a triplet feel, but
Is that a 5/4 beat?
Sure.
Something
All
like
right.
that.
I should have
Anyways,
been prepared.
Anyways, enough with the really interesting stuff. So I am joined today by acclaimed musician Scotchback.
Who doesn't know anything. How you guys doing?
Farm musician. Wait, how do you say it?
Farmzician.
Farmzician. There we go. That's what it is.
I have got my trusty sidekick, Bradley.
Yo, that's me.
You like how you're my sidekick now?
I know. I'm just like, fuck it. Let's run with it. Okay. I'm the
And
sidekick.
we are also joined by some experts in the field. We have the two chicks in a horror flick. This is Felicia and Tawny. They both do a podcast that we love and that we listen to a bunch, and it is Two Chicks in a Horror Flick. You can find it on any of your podcasting resources. Felicia, Tawny, how are we doing? Tawny?
Are these brand new guests?
These are not brand new guests. You guys have been on the... Am I supposed to say that? They don't tell me any of the stuff I'm supposed to say and then give me shit.
BDKers are like, oh shit, yeah.
Tawny, how are we doing this evening, Tawny?
No, I would like to say that we're seasoned guests.
Yes.
There we go.
From being on only once. But doing so great. So excited to be on and talking to you guys again. And yeah, just looking forward to it. I'm really stoked to be on the other side of the draft this time.
Love it. Our other spooky season guest, Felicia, how are we doing this evening?
I'm doing really good. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
You sound
all
great.
okay?
You sound great.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm always so nervous to talk.
We got our like
everything
all,
be off.
we're in our head now because like we had like,
I know.
oh, you're too loud. No, you're too soft. You're too loud.
We'll just fuck
I'm
with
just
you the rest of the way
scared.
out. Yep.
Yeah, ladies, don't worry about it. You guys can say anything you want, and Brad won't give you shit. I forget to say that you've been on the podcast before, and Brad's already like, "Oh, is this their first time?"
I'm a mean sidekick. I'm a very mean sidekick. I try to keep him on the straight and narrow.
We usually, at the beginning of this, we will talk a little bit about sort of our relationship to the movie, which I think may be tough for my co-host because I'm not sure if this is the first time they saw it or not. So I will start with Felicia. Halloween 1978. I assume you did not see this movie in theaters. How did we see this movie? What's your relationship to it? Love it? Hate it? What are you thinking?
All right. I'm so excited that you started with me. I love this movie.
Okay.
So Michael is my favorite slasher. I absolutely love this franchise. There was some janky movies in the middle, but I love Michael Myers. I saw it as a kid on video, and I remember being so scared because he was different than, now I know you guys are going to have some stuff to say about him, but hear me out. Mm-hmm. He was an alive serial killing man. And that scared me. He wasn't someone who died and was burned to death and came back, or Jason who was dead and came back. He was a man that just very miraculously kept dodging death through all of the movies. There was not one point where he was dead and came back to life. And just how he stalked people, I remember it terrified me. So I'm a diehard Michael Myers fan. I love this franchise. I do acknowledge that there's like some wonky parts of it, but every time I see it, I love it even more. So that's where I stand.
So I will echo that. Like, it's scarier that he's not like superhuman or like a ghost or a goblin or whatever it is, right? To me, all of my favorite horror movies are like, this could really happen, even though this may not really happen, but it could really happen. A guy could really sneak into your room and stab you as soon as you take your shirt off. I mean, that's very possible.
Well, you have to take your shirt off first.
Yes. Tawny?
He definitely is. He definitely likes to watch. He's definitely much a voyeur.
He's a voyeur.
Serial killer.
And that's very realistic too.
Right.
So
True.
I could see. I guess I also just thought of like how much scarier this movie would be as a woman watching it, because he's like not too concerned with the male characters. He's just like very fixated on the females, and that makes it extra scary, I think. Tawny, you got thoughts?
I actually hadn't seen this movie all the way through until 2020, the first year of doing our podcast, and it was the first year that I actually sat down to watch it. Of course, it's hard to like avoid parts of it, right? Because it just plays all the time on TV over Halloween, especially. So that was the first time I had seen it, and I was really worried I would hate it because I tend to not love movies, like horror movies from the like 80s or even like the 70s, because they tend to be a little like hokey, like, and I don't like that over the top kind of zany type of movie. And I wasn't sure that was going to be this, but I thought it was going to be cheesy for sure. Mm-hmm. And so I was really pleasantly surprised. I went in with very low expectations. I thought I would hate it, and I ended up liking it quite a bit. I thought it still holds up for the most part. There's some things that I think, some of the acting is, some of the dialogue is a little weird, but you know, I'm like, I can't help but respect it. especially for all that came after it.
Totally. And, I always think when I watch these movies, I'm like, did people talk differently back then? Like, is this good acting because people talk differently in 1978? I always think that.
Totally.
Totally.
Totally, Zach.
Totally.
That's
Totally.
Hey, Jan, you should totally go out with him.
I always thought you think of like Valley Girl talk as like the 80s, and I was like, was this too early for like Valley Girl? Where's Totally coming from? It was kind of
filmed in 78, dude. They were going hard. They're supposed to be in Illinois too.
So, yeah. There's a lot of Illinois Valley Girls. So.
Pretty freaking wild. Filmed in Southern California, supposed to be in Illinois. There's like palm trees in it. You can see in the background. Bradley, what do you think about the movie Halloween?
So this is my first time ever seeing it. I was never a big horror movie kid, but for some reason, the one series I saw a bunch of was the Friday the 13th. I saw quite a few. I mean, I'm sorry, Nightmare on Elm Street. I saw quite a few of those.
Oh, Freddy.
But really, Friday the 13th, Halloween, Hellraiser, a lot of those were just not things I was searching out. All the dumb comedies I was watching with my dad and my brother.
You were watching Strange Brew over and over and over
a bunch of times, which for me, which is just the perfect experience. But Halloween, 90 minutes, of course. First thing I'm going to notice is how long it is. 90 minutes. It's like, okay, that's a quick one. And then I started thinking like, oh my gosh, like not a lot happens in this movie once it's done. Like it's 90 minutes and there's not really a whole lot that happens. There's a lot of slow motion walking. There's a lot of like really tense moments brought like just at a snail's pace moving forward, but it's still a solid one. Like the music carries most of the thrill. Like, I mean, as far as Carpenter's score, it's like it does everything. And ultimately I enjoyed it. Am I going to watch Halloween 2 or 3 or 4? Nah, I don't think so. But at the same time, it wasn't. I was expecting it to be more graphic, a little bit more bloody, and it's not gory at all. It's
not
like one of those ones that really just kind of avoids the gore, lets the tension kind of do all the work.
Movies used to be paced this way. Yeah. I think the YouTubeification, the TikTokification of everything makes it seem so weird now to watch a movie that is slowly paced.
Right.
But God, I mean, like when we watch The Godfather, it's like, fucking get on with it, dude. What are we doing, Francis?
Right.
Scotty?
Brad, I don't know if this is appropriate. If I could just say one thing, I'm so sorry.
Totally.
Brad, okay. Maybe try. My very favorite Halloween movie is Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Oh.
This original is my second, but Rob Zombie's Halloween was so badass in my opinion, and Tawny agrees.
I dig Rob Zombie.
It is very graphic though, so you got to be ready for that.
But Brad is very Rob Zombie. Do you see the mustache? Can you see the mustache?
Oh no, I dig some of his stuff, and so I think it would be worth checking out. Maybe I'll have to do that at some point.
Totally agree on the pacing. It didn't bother me. I feel like the first time I watched it in 2020, but this time I was really like, okay, this is really taking a long time. So agree.
I've got an answer for that too, Tawny. That's because that was during the where everyone had to stay at home and you couldn't leave your house, and things slowed down for everybody at that time. Yeah,
that is true. I will say I took advantage of the Amazon. Like I watched it on Amazon Prime, and 10 second, I was like, okay, 10 seconds.
10 second buttoned in?
Oh, a bunch.
Brad.
I was just like, not trying to skip ahead, like, oh my God, what's going on? But just like, can we hurry up and fucking move? Like, I want to see the next kill or something. Like, what's going
Brad
on?
Brad watched this hour and a half long movie in 60 minutes. Yeah. Scott Beck, what did you think?
So, well, first of all, I almost watched an edited version of it because I was kind of trying to find where I could watch it, and I saw it was on AMC. And like AMC Plus, I had to have a subscription, which I didn't. And so I said, oh, well, it's there on just AMC. And so I downloaded it to watch. And I started watching it. And after the first scene, and I've never seen this from start to finish.
But you're like, I'm sure there are boobs in this movie. And there was no boobs
There was no boobs. At the beginning of this movie, I even saw it kind of fuzzed out. And I was like, wait a minute. I'm watching the wrong version.
Wait a minute.
And I swear I went to Apple, paid $3.99 so I could watch the boobs. And she had a nice body. Anyway, so
they were nice boobs.
They were
in this movie.
But it also it cut as soon as he starts stabbing her at the beginning. It totally cut away from her being on the ground, so you don't even see her bloody at all on the AMC version. So
right,
and so the minute it just happened so weird, it was so like out of joint. I was like, something's weird, so I wanted to watch the real version. And I'm glad I did because, and that first thing I noticed was like instead of an hour 22, it was an hour 34 or whatever. So I was like, oh yeah, they cut out a bunch of shit. I want to make sure I watch the right thing. In general, I'm not a horror guy. I actually watched a lot of the Nightmare on Elm Streets as well, but it's just not my cup of tea. My biggest complaint was that I watched it alone because I wanted to watch it with someone and crack jokes or have fun or at least be scared with someone, because I have had a lot of fun in horror movies with someone else, and I watched it all by myself, and it wasn't really scary, which is because I'm not really into scary. It got me on some stupid jump scares. You know,
that first music spike when the lights go off. I was like, I know Scotch got it.
It got me. The stupidest jump scare ever with a light, literally, and he goes with that stupid music. Oh, I
thought of you as soon as that part came out. I was like, oh, Scotch just shit his pants.
I did. But so there were some unexpected jump scares, which were super fun, and yeah, well, I have lots to say. The acting really was fun. Some of the dialogue was just really bad, and
I love when you plug like a serious actor, like the guy that plays Dr. Loomis, and then you have just all these people who are just total amateurs, and it's like playing off of each other. It's so weird because it's like he's so serious, and I must talk about this guy, and everybody else like, so you want to go fuck Bobby?
Yeah.
So anyway, it was, you know what, I'm not a fan of these kind of movies, but I actually did enjoy it. It was fun for me to watch. But
I love that. I'm like super connected to this and to Friday the 13th movies, but I haven't watched them in forever. I used to watch them in the edited versions on like TNT with my grandmother, and she would like yell and totally root for Jason or Michael Myers or Freddy or whoever it was, and she'd be like, "Kill that bitch!" Like literally, like
your grandma's
yelling,
hardcore.
oh yeah, dude, like yelling at the TV. And I got super into it as a kid. My sister and I would watch them, and we would get real scared, and we liked it.
This explains a lot. I like your origin story.
Yeah, so definitely my shout out to my grandma Vera that would be like, "Kill him, stab him, kill him." She would get like super into the rooting for the bad guys. But
that's great stuff.
Anyways, I watched this with my 13-year-old son and my wife, and my son, as per Brad's prediction of the pacing and everything, not even the boobs could keep him awake. He fell asleep about 45 minutes in and did not wake up for the rest of the movie, which was unfortunate.
I say there's not a kill for that first 45 minutes besides the opening scene. There's not like another kill.
It takes a little bit, and he was like, I am falling asleep. And my wife and I watched it, and my wife is maybe a bigger wuss than Scott Beck as far as jump scares and stuff goes, and so she was jumping all over the place, and it was hilarious. And then she was like, after the movie was over, she's like, well, gotta watch Friends now to cleanse my palate from that. So we watched like 4 episodes of Friends because she does not like scary stuff. But it was a good experience. I have tons of problems with it, but as I said, like, I feel like I can enjoy movies from the 70s, and I have to actively try not to like pick them apart. It's tough for me not to be like, this is a problem.
I had a question for actually for Tawny and Felicia and for Zach. It's like, you guys are kind of horror movie aficionados. It's like, is it like when you start doing the harder drugs, like the softer drugs are kind of like, Absolutely. It's like you just don't get as much effect from them anymore. It's like watching this, it's just kind of like, okay. I mean, I've watched French crazy horror, whatever you call it, cinema, like that's a whole different level than this. So it's like, is it kind of that way where you go back and watch these old ones, it's kind of like doesn't have much effect?
I would say sometimes. So if there is a lot of nostalgia wrapped up into it, like for example with Halloween, as soon as I hear the music, I'm giddy. Mm-hmm. And I'm just in it for the ride. And I know the conversation was ridiculous, and I loved it because I just have that nostalgia. But for a movie maybe I didn't see back in the I could say that would be maybe a little slow after some of the stuff that we've seen now. Takes a lot now, right, to disturb me.
Yeah, because you guys have talked about that on your show. I've listened to a few episodes where you talk about how you, over time, have become desensitized to a lot of things, right? And it's like, it's almost like you're training yourself to watch more gnarly shit. Like me, like I'd probably watch some of these movies you guys watch. I love listening to your podcast just because I don't have to watch them then, because I love when you spoil the shit out of them, so I can hear all the details and not have to get scared. And so
Scott has to read the Wikipedia about the movie before he listens to even your podcast, because he's like, This is not going to sneak up on me. Tawny, do you have thoughts?
That's so funny because I was just listening to an episode of your guys' and weren't you talking about Scott like hating spoilers? Like for everything else except for horror.
Everything but horror. If it's something I'm really planning on watching, I loathe spoilers. Like if it's something I'm really into, but I'm just not into horror, but I'm super fascinated by it, and I actually want to be spoiled, so I don't get scared.
Scotch, I think it might have beat you. I already looked up the plot for Halloween 2 just because I know I'm never going to watch it. I want to find out what happens. So I read the plot, the whole plot for Halloween 2, and it sounds kind of crazy and a psych ward type thing. And
little did you know that these the franchise of Halloween is very not linear at all and gets really fucking funky really quick.
Nice.
I would say so for me. Like for sure, I think I've been watching horror movies since I was a tiny child, and I definitely think there's something to like the more you watch and the more you consume, the less the other ones affect you, and that probably has something to do with like the level of shock and gore, but it probably also has something to do with like as we progress and like the pacing gets better and the scares and graphics and stuff get better. That's probably part of it too, but the other part is I bet just by the nature of consuming so many movies, it becomes kind of like, I don't know, like a study instead of like being within the, like experiencing the movie as much. So I think that probably has something to do with it as well. Is like we're kind of looking at it through the lens of reviewing and critiquing. And so it kind of takes you out of being able to be as scared, which is kind of unfortunate because Felicia and I both love to be scared. We're like, oh, it's a never-ending search for the movie that can scare us,
I was the kid at the slumber party that they'd suggest a horror movie. I'd try my best to steer everybody away from it, and then they'd put it on, and I'd toughen up and be like, "Oh yeah, I got this," and I would act like, "Oh," and that's kind of I think why my reflex when I'm with people watching horror movies is just making jokes because that's all I would ever do. And then at home I'd be like, "Fuck no, I'm not watching any horror movies."
I was the kid in the other room eating all the candy off the table, hiding. And now I'm so large.
Brad's parents would get calls at 3 a.m. Can you come get Brad?
He peed his sleeping bag again.
Oh my goodness. All right. So I think that's a pretty fair assessment of our thoughts on the movie.
Zach, I'm curious to know your thoughts. Like, how do you feel about that same question?
So I think that the first person point of view camera work, especially in the opening scene, I think is really great. I love the premise. We already sort of talked about one of my biggest things that I love about this. Felicia brought it up, which is that he's just a dude. Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that he's just a guy that is out to kill people, and he doesn't really seem to have any. I mean, I know some of the later movies kind of go into his like childhood trauma and why he's a crazy person, but this movie doesn't at all. His parents seem like kind of loving. I also wonder on that like fade out shot, were they supposed to be frozen or were they just staring? I
actually have a note on the mom's face.
Yeah, it's so weird.
It's like the worst face acting ever. It's literally what went through my head when I saw her face was, oh my God, Becca. Like she had this like look like.
Oh, really? You did that?
It was so weird. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Because was it supposed to be like
I thought it was like maybe they were supposed to be frozen, but they didn't have the technology to do it, so they're just like, don't move, guys. And then
like Police Squad, the end of Police Squad, that TV show.
They always just freeze.
Exactly, like the Toyota commercial where the guy jumps in the air.
But do these as movies like these are you desensitized to them at this point?
Absolutely, I think that like this movie didn't like nothing in this movie. There's tension, and I have to do the things that I do with like I talked about earlier, like Godfather and Jaws and stuff like that. I have to actively be thinking like it's 1978. Think of it like it's 1978. You've never seen anything like this before. You've never seen like a score like this, or this first person like killing like this, or all this tension built up like this. You have to think of it like that, especially for American audiences, because I think there were some other people elsewhere that were doing similar things like this, but I don't think that a lot of American audience had seen like sort of stuff like this, even though you, like Scott said, like it's not super gory. Like there's no, like you don't see her getting stabbed really. You see her kind of afterwards. But yeah, I dug it. I like it. But for me, I think Felicia said this also, like it's a big nostalgia thing for me. Like, it just makes me think of being a little kid, eating, like my grandma we used to watch scary movies, and my grandma used to fry up a pound of bacon.
Oh.
And then we would just
That's nice.
We would just eat bacon, bro, with nothing else.
Crunchy bacon, or like
it was like a little chewy, little crunchy, like right in between. And we would just like sit on the floor with like a plate of bacon and just eat some bacon and drink like a big glass of milk and watch a scary movie with my grandma. Yeah, dude, she was super legit.
Bacon and milk.
So I'm not sure if my love of horror is from actually being scared or from like just an affinity for bacon, and I just think about bacon when I watch scary movies. But I'll take it either way. But I dug it. So we're going to move on to our next segment, and we're going to have the two chicks sit in. We're going to do drinking with the two chicks. But first, Brad, what network are we on?
We are part of the Deluxe Edition Network, a community of podcasts that have all sorts of topics. And while BVK is the podcast of the year, still for the next few months, we've got 2 podcasts of the month. Scotch Beck, what are they?
I believe we're still in October, and it's spooky. So
It's October 24th, bro.
That's right, bro. So we've got The Graveyard Club and Terror Tuesday. So if you want some information on what those podcasts are all about, I guarantee it's spooky. But you can go to deluxeeditionnetwork.com and read all about them and check them out. And check out all the other amazing podcasts. We've been adding a bunch of podcasts lately.
Yeah.
So the network is growing, all kinds of different subjects and things and great podcasts. If you're interested in anything, odds are we have a podcast for you.
And they're on Facebook and they're on Instagram. You can follow them both there.
And TikTok, I believe.
TikTok and maybe even YouTube. Who knows?
I don't know.
Brad's making shit up now. I will be thoroughly upset if any of you love horror movies and want to listen to a horror podcast and listen to any of that before you listen to Two Chicks and a Horror Flick.
Well,
so let's go. All right. We are going to drink with the two chicks. Brad, do we have a theme song?
Pull up a chair and grab yourself a drink. We'll hypothesize what directors think. Maybe sometimes get a guess. Makes us look good. Let's drink, laugh, and pretend we know what we're doing. Drinking with the director, brought to you by Last Call Brewing.
My son has a football practice jersey. He loses it. So I have to order him a new one. It's $20. And so I tell him, you owe me $20. He's like, okay. I'm like, you have negative $20. He's like, okay. He comes to me like 2 days later and he's like, Dad, I found out what I want to buy with my $20. I'm like, I don't think you understand what I'm trying to tell you about. You have negative $20. It's like, if you had $20, you would have $0. And he's like, I don't understand what you're saying.
He's like, damn, my dad's hella cool. He rewarded me for losing my practice jersey.
So to continue down this tangent road, so I get this new jersey from Amazon. It's white, just like every other white practice jersey for the whole football team. He brings it to me. It's dirty. He bleeds all over it. I pick him up from practice and he's just blood all down his face. And he's like, I got hit in the face. And he's just bleeding everywhere because he's a freaking savage. So I take his jersey. I take it home to wash it. I wash it. I get it out of the washer right before practice starts the next day. And it is like a powder blue color.
Oh.
Now, I washed it with did something wrong. I'm Mr. Mom in it. Wife's at work. I'm just like, oh, here's your new jersey or whatever. He's like, Dad, it's blue. I'm like, no one's going to notice, dude. It's really light blue. So then 2 hours later, I pick him up from practice and he runs up to me and he goes, great job on the laundry, Dad. Everybody's calling me Papa Smurf now.
Oh, wow.
So
now he owes you $40.
Yeah, exactly. The negative 20. He actually earned $10 back the other day because the cat pissed in his room. And my wife said, I will give you $10 if you can find where the cat pissed in your room. So he crawled around and sniffed it out, found the cat piss spot, and now he's at negative 10. So we're moving up in the world. All right. So drinking with the director. That was quite the tangent. Drinking with the director. Mr. Brad, what are you drinking with this beautiful green can in your hand?
I've got a beautiful green can from Last Call Brewing. It is called their homegrown. It is a classic pale ale, and it's actually a collaboration from Last Call Brewing with some local hop producers called the Hop Yard Hounds. They grew some of their own hops. They brought it down to Last Call. They brewed them in this little special. It's very much kind of like almost like a Sierra, a nice pale ale crisp. Mm-hmm. It's pretty tasty. You can get that in cans or on tap at Last Call Brewing in Oakdale.
I had a little sampler of it, and it was really tasty. I enjoyed it.
Well, there you go.
Tastes good when it touches your lips. Scotty Beck.
I was drinking some. I need to refill here in a minute. I'm drinking Blanton's bourbon tonight.
Going with the
You know,
On hard times, huh?
yeah,
a little hot.
it's harvest. I needed a fucking drink today.
Yeah.
Today was a rough one. And,
Scott's been on a tractor all day,
yeah.
all week,
Oh yeah.
all 3 months for
Last month and a half. Or
month
so.
and a half.
Pretty much.
Jesus. Ladies, what are we drinking? I noticed Felicia's partner sneak into the room and then sneak back out, and all of a sudden she had a drink in her hand. So what are we drinking, Felicia?
Yeah, I texted my husband, can you bring me some bourbon? So I'm drinking bourbon neat Wild Turkey 101 is what I'm drinking.
Oh shit!
That's the hot stuff too.
Hey, it makes my big rock here look awfully wimpy.
Awfully wimpy.
Suddenly I feel inadequate.
I'm glad you said big rock. Tawny, what are we doing here?
I just have some white wine. I wish I had bourbon, but I don't. The only whiskey we have is rye whiskey, which I don't. I don't know. Not really a fan of that after drinking a bunch of bourbon.
I'm a big Scotch guy, and rye. So I wasn't a fan of bourbon for many, many years, and I think it was because when I was younger, I had a group of friends that we'd always end up at the end of the night passing a bottle of Maker's Mark around. Like, I don't know why. At the end of the night,
Rich fucking friends or what?
I don't know, dude.
Damn.
All I know is we're drinking Makers out of the bottle, and I'm already hammered and whatever. And so I just have a kind of a bad memory of Makers for some reason. So I never liked bourbons. And so like rye whiskey was kind of my bridge between Scotch and American whiskeys. And then now I'm actually really starting to enjoy the flavor of bourbon again, which is fantastic because I'm actually getting some really good ones. And so anyway.
In our house after college, we had a plastic bottle of Scotch. It was like one of those big like handles, but just plastic. And I don't remember what the fuck it was called, but
it's good.
But we called it I Can't Believe It's Not Scotch. Nobody would touch it. At our parties, nobody wanted to ever drink unless we dared somebody to.
Oh, it's amazing.
I'm drinking that Tomorrow's Clear West Coast IPA from the Dust Bowl Brewing Company, and I'll just give a big shout out to whatever random person came to Scott's Cantina and left it in the fridge.
Yeah, I don't know who that
Yeah, he
It's
has
good beer.
no idea.
Tomorrow's Clear
Yeah.
is tasty.
I'm sure there was a band practice at some point, and somebody left it
the
in the
governor
fridge.
might have brought that.
Oh, the Governor? Well, good. I don't feel bad about drinking the Gov's beer at all.
All I know is
If
it's
you're-
not my beer, so you can have as much as you
Gov, if you're listening to this, fuck you. All right, there you go.
Wow.
I mean that in the nicest way. Just saw him at dinner with his beautiful wife the other day. Very nice guy. All right. Moving on to drinking with the two chicks. So basically this segment has no real form or anything to it. We are just going to sort of talk about what we thought about different aspects of the movie, what we think they could have done different, what we think they could have done the same. I will sort of preface all of this with saying that this movie cost, I believe, $300,000 to make and made $40 million at the box office.
That's a pretty good return.
And if you're saying that you put it out to today's money as an independent film, it is roughly sort of widely thought of as one of the most successful independent movies of all time, which is pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's rare for a horror movie to kind of hit at the box office, but when they do, they can fucking really hit. I think there's been a bunch of examples of that. I mean, and even like small ones, like what was the one I watched with my son the other day? Blair Witch. Like that movie cost $10 to make or something like that, and made tons and tons of money. So these horror movies can hit. So Janet Leigh is a woman that played in Psycho, in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Her daughter, Jamie Lee Curtis, is the star of this movie, who is 19 at the time, which is crazy to me because she's the only one of the girls in the movie that's actually a teenager, and she looks like she's
36.
35. Yes,
And
exactly.
I was going to say her voice. It sounds like she's like a woman like talking to these
She
kids.
is. I actually love Jamie Lee Curtis. I love her in a bunch of stuff, but she looks like a middle-aged woman as a young woman, and I don't even mean that as a bad thing. I think she looks great, but it's kind of crazy that she was the only one that was a teenager.
There literally was a scene, and I don't know what it was, something about a certain angle where she turned, and I go, man, how old was she in this? And so
Yeah.
I Googled it in the middle of the movie because I wasn't sure. I was like, was she like in her early, mid-20s or something when she did this? And I was actually surprised when she
Same
was 19.
thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. I found she's 19. I was like, because mine was the voice. It was the voice
Yeah.
that she just has that kind of deeper voice. And every time she talked, I was like, it doesn't sound that different from Jamie Lee Curtis, like in her 40s.
Now.
Like, yeah. Or even now. Exactly.
It sounds exactly. And she's gone on to be a huge star. I mean, she's done tons and tons of stuff. So I guess I will turn it over to first Tawny. So if you had to get Mr. Carpenter in a room and you were like, hey, Mr. Carpenter, I want to ask you some questions. Now, I often find myself in this position when we're sitting down with the director of these movies, hypothetically, and I want to ask them about different movies than the one we're actually talking about. But Tawny, what would you ask Mr. Carpenter if you had him in a room, or just thoughts generally on the movie, however you want to take it?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like I'm being put on the spot. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is kind of, I do wonder about, did he have an inkling? And this is maybe like a question for any situation like this where you have, a small budget and it ends up blowing up. Like, I would wonder if he had any inkling of how big this thing was going to be. Because sometimes you hear about, or you see people in, working on projects, and they really have like a ton of belief in it, and they're like, I'm going to do this. And then sometimes people are really, they're scared. They have a lot of like imposter syndrome. Is that the right word?
Exactly it.
Yeah. And so I wonder if he knew while making it, or if it was just like, who fucking knows, dude? Let's just,
right.
I always think, when I think about that, I always think like, for every dude that's like, I knew this was going to be the shit. I had $10,000. I was going to make this movie. I knew it was going to be amazing. I just think of the 20 million other dudes that were the exact same way making their shit movie, that were like, this is going to be amazing. It's going to be the best. And everyone hated it and no one ever watched it. You know what I mean? And we praise the one guy that did get it right.
Well, it's like music, musicians.
Oh, 1,000% it's like music.
And albums. It's like, you think, oh my God, this is the most amazing shit I've ever done, and blah, blah, blah. And people are going to love this stuff. And then like, nobody cares.
Dude.
And then there's the guys that, write this amazing album that just blows up for whatever reason. And
You're talking about Weezer, my favorite band. And then they write 75 shitty ass albums. Yeah.
I should have done a little bit more research to find out like what time movies came out. Because I know like mid 70s is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is still
74, I think.
Yeah. So which is still for me like the scariest horror movie I've ever seen. And it's probably because I watched it like when I was like 14 or something. But at the same time, did the Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street? I think Nightmare on Elm Street was early 80s.
Yep.
Did Friday the 13th
or maybe
come out
79
before this? Because I feel like this is the first one that kind of like set off the modern horror movie franchise. Like, because you always think of Halloween, you think of Friday the 13th, you think of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Friday the 13th was 80.
So they all came after then. So this is kind of like the one that sets the
Nightmare
whole
on Elm Street was
movie
84
renaissance. Like is this movie? So I would wonder, like, between 74 and 78, what movies came out that were like horror movies, or if he was just like, you know what, this genre needs like a kick in the butt, and I feel like I know how to do it, or if it was just like, I'm just gonna make a movie. Like, I mean,
can I do a plug here? Because one of Felicia and I's favorite movies that we've watched is Black Christmas, and that was
74.
1974.
Scott and I both have that on our computers right now because we were looking at what time it was.
and I listened to your episode on that. It was really, really entertaining, really, really fun. I think you guys actually mentioned that when the last time you guys were on the pod with us as one of your more fun episodes. So I went back and listened. It was really fun.
Yeah,
dude, I watched the trailer for that, and that's the wildest fucking trailer I've ever seen. Like, they have this crazy laughter going on over it, and like the sound is just really weird, and like it's bonkers.
I think the two things happened. I think that Carpenter made a decent horror movie here. He didn't spend very much money, and it was a big fucking hit. So what I think happened was it made it okay for studios to make horror movies like this.
Yeah.
And that's why you saw the big influx after that of all these franchises, all these big hits that came afterwards. I don't think it was because no one was necessarily doing this before. I think he was the first one that had like the huge hit with it.
That's Hollywood in a nutshell, though.
Right?
It's like, I mean, you were just mentioning Blair Witch. Like, when that came out, all of a sudden there was all these found footage style movies that were coming out. It's like that shit always happens, where it's like something's a little bit different and everybody's like, oh, it made a bunch of money. Well, here, let's try to recreate that.
Exactly. Felicia, what are your thoughts? On anything.
Anything.
Anything. Oh, shit.
Anything you want to throw out there.
That question you asked, mine isn't as thoughtful as Tawny's, but after I was done fangirling and telling him how much I love this movie, I think my one thing with the movie is I wish there were more kills. The pacing didn't bother me, especially nowadays. 5 more kills?
No, I think there was only 5 kills in the movie.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
5 more? I'm game for that. No.
Absolutely.
I think that there needed to... I liked the slow burn of the stalking, but I think there could have been a few more kills in there. And so I would ask him, why did he make that decision? Is it because once he did kill, you felt like it would be more impactful? Because I disagree, kind of. I think that there should have been more kills, and I think that would have been really great. But that's what I would ask him. Yeah,
because there's a lot of times when, like, the brunette girl who got strangled in the car, there was so many scenes where you thought she was going to die. Okay, it's going to happen now. It's going to happen now. It's going to happen now.
I thought
they easily could have thrown a couple more kills in there of other people.
I thought there was no chance she's getting out of the shed, and then somehow she gets out of the shed. I was like, holy fuck, they were really dragging this out. She's going to die.
She got stuck in the window and still didn't get killed. I mean, that was crazy.
That makes me wonder, what was Michael doing during that? Was he just like looking at her? Just like,
I think so. He's just lurking.
He's just messing around with her. I have one more thing I would ask. I would ask, actually, if it was a director, if the director guided all of the women when they died to do this bizarre cross eyes.
I was wondering about this too. What the fuck was going on there?
I did not
It
notice
makes it
this.
comical. It's totally comical.
I hated it.
Yeah,
I didn't notice this.
I have it in my notes. The brunette in the car, right at the very end, you see it through the window. It's kind of fogged up, whatever. But she has this stupid look on her face. It looks so dumb.
So they're not
the blonde too. When you see her, she's all, I can't even do it. Maybe that was part of the audition. Cross your eyes
on the reveal when she was in the closet, like.
Yes.
Yeah. That's right.
So I just you guys saying that, because I don't think I noticed that during the movie, but it just reminded me, and I had to look up what year it came out. Airplane comes out in 1980, and I don't know if you guys remember the spoof movie Airplane, but at one point there's a girl that's like on life support, and she's getting flown to go get like a transplant or something, and they knock out like her life support system. And she starts doing this whole like cross-eyed thing, like where she's like dying and she's like going cross-eyed. And I wonder if that was like a complete spoof.
I'm sure that was
off of Halloween, because it came out the year after, or a couple years after. So that's funny, the whole cross-eyed dying thing.
My question: have you ever seen somebody die? Have you seen a dead body? Because they don't look like that.
Oh, I thought you were really asking. I was like, Tawny's
down.
I know. All right. And I'm all going like this. Yeah, I've seen it. They don't cross their eyes.
Their bowels release, but their eyes just stay right on.
So I've got a question for Carpenter that I want to ask, which is, did he not grow up with neighbors that he liked? Because these neighbors are the most horrible neighbors I've ever seen. This poor girl screaming for her life, and they're just like, fuck that girl. She's loud. She's being obnoxious right now. I don't care what she's yelling about. I'm not letting her in.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
I think we solved 2 of these problems. Like Felicia says there's not enough kills. We kill a bunch of the neighbors. And then
totally.
When she runs to the neighbor's house and they don't come to the door, well, obviously they're fucking dead. We know that, right?
She knocks on the door to get help, and it opens up and they're dead on the floor or something. That
Perfect.
Could be, there's another.
No, these neighbors were like, shut the fuck up, and like turn the lights out. I was like, wow.
They probably had a bunch of like household pets that he could have killed. Like fucking, he could have taken out some goldfish, maybe some fucking
some chinchillas.
Yeah, he's probably got a bunch of stuff he could have killed on the way to getting our nice.
He had no problem killing
co-ed.
animals, that's for sure.
No, that was a very weird moment.
It was.
They were like, a dog. He's like, he got hungry. I thought that was a really dumb line of dialogue that killed me.
That's what made me weird. Was like, so wait, he's eating these things? Like he's just feeding like a.
I don't think so. I think.
Or hungry? Is he talking about like his hunger for killing?
Yeah, exactly. He's got that hunger for those crossed eyes.
I have a question then. I'm wondering why, because in the house there was a dead thing and the guy was like, it's still warm. And he said, maybe it was a skunk.
Yeah.
It's like, are skunks like super vicious or something?
When he said that, that's funny that it happened really quick, because I thought about that for like 2 seconds. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And then I just kind of like didn't think about it. But that's hilarious.
Felicia, can I ask you, do you watch movies with the subtitles on like Brad does?
Only if No,
Okay,
not
you
typically,
don't?
but
All right.
unless I can't understand. Okay, you want me to stop?
No.
Okay.
I was gonna say because like Brad always catches these weird dialogue things because he watches everything with the subtitles on, even if it's in perfect English, and you can hear every word. He watches it with the subtitles on, and so I was just curious. I didn't catch the skunk line, so I don't know how I missed that.
I heard it. Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah, no, I don't watch with the subtitles unless I don't know what they're saying. For example, I had to watch The Witch the first time with subtitles, and now I can hear everything clearly, but like the first time, no.
Well,
I don't like how the words take up the screen.
When
and
the dad on the Witch is talking at the very beginning, it's like tough to know that he's speaking English. You're like, is this what language
Yeah.
is
Are they like
this
Irish
dude
or Scottish
speaking?
or something?
Oh, they just came over on like the fucking Mayflower, bro. They're
Okay.
speaking the
They're
King's
Old English.
Yeah, the King's
Yeah.
English.
Old English.
Old drunk.
Speaking the
religious
Kings, are we going
English.
back to
Speaking
Bastards?
I'm going to go out speaking the Kings.
That's one of my favorite lines, though. I do dig that line. We did Inglourious Bastards a couple weeks ago, so
It's a great movie.
So-
Love that one.
So I didn't realize that John Carpenter's The Thing was a remake of the movie that was on throughout this movie, right?
Right.
I didn't realize that. Did you guys realize that?
You know, I didn't put it together till right now. I knew they were watching The Thing.
Right. I didn't know that.
And-
I didn't know that there was an original The Thing. That's freaking awesome. I want to watch it now.
The part of that made me laugh, though, is like they're sitting there and I think they had just finished the pumpkin or whatever, and then she's like, "Do you want to go back to the movie? Let's go finish the movie." Did they have a fucking DVR back then? Like, how are they going to go back to finish the movie? Did they put it on pause, like on their old 1980 TV or whatever? Like, how did the fuck? Like, what are they doing here?
I don't know,
How
Scott.
did that happen?
Does your TV have pause?
No, that's not.
The joke is that Scott is old and has an old TV. Sorry.
Scotch is old.
So
That's
Well,
the
like I
bottom
just
line.
think they stepped away from the movie and then went back to it,
Yeah.
not paused it.
Yeah.
Which
Oh,
is
okay.
crazy to think about, right? Crazy to think about missing a big chunk of the movie, but
Yeah.
I could never. I get so mad. My wife, my kids, all of them. I'm like, let's watch this movie. They agree to watch the movie, and then they will get up and be like, "Don't pause it." I'll be like,
Oh boy.
Oh,
"I'll
yeah,
fucking
no.
kill you."
Pet
right
peeve right there.
You're
It
gonna
is the
miss.
worst.
You're gonna miss like this sweeping crane shot that comes down over the city, and then you're not gonna know that crane shot was there.
my husband will look at his phone and I'll pause it. And he'll be like, "Let me watch the movie how I want to watch the movie." And I'm like, "But why are you watching the movie if you're not going to watch the movie?"
Hey,
We're definitely all movie podcasters, obviously,
Yeah.
because we're all like,
Clearly.
"Fuck these people! What are they thinking? Watch the damn movie." Oh man, like if I'm at the theater, like I have to be very selective who I go to the theater with. Like if my kids want to like be like, "Oh, can you go get me some more popcorn?" Like I'm gonna miss. You better tell me exactly what happens when I get.
tell me
back.
what happens to Wall-E. I don't know. Brad misses the transition.
I'm like, I really need to know what happened to Woody here. Like where was he? What was he saying? I need to know his emotional state.
okay, so I have a question for everybody here. So the opening sequence, how the movie starts.
Okay.
Do we really think that sex happened up in that room in the time frame of when that kid was looking in the window and when they decided to go upstairs, and then by the time they came back, sex happened?
This is a 16-year-old boy.
Wait, I thought she just denied him because he kind of storms out like he's a little bit angry.
Well, didn't she say call me? And he's like, yeah, whatever.
No, yeah, he was
And
like,
she- and she was
I already hit it. I'm not going
and
to
she
call
was
you. It was
naked.
terrible.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought she
She had panties on.
Yeah,
I thought she cock blocked him like, and he kind of got a little pissed off and like ran out.
I don't know. I assume they had sex, which is the quickest quickie in the history of film.
I think I think it's like you're supposed to think they had sex. I
Right.
thought maybe they were just doing a little dry humping,
Oh,
and then
okay.
she wouldn't let him go all the way because
Okay.
you're right, it's way too fast.
Way too fast.
Oh, so you're right. So I guess I felt it as like he was kind of like he had already had sex with her, so he wasn't interested anymore, and he was like, "Yeah, maybe I'll call you," but maybe she rejected him or did not let him go all the way, and that's why he was like, "Yeah, maybe I'll call
That's
you."
what I thought. I thought he
I'm
was
not
a
going
little
to call
frustrated.
her. Okay.
gosh,
That makes
dude.
more sense.
Well, that kind of ruins the trope of as soon as you have sex, you die.
Oh, that's yeah.
I mean, she was all like almost completely naked. and
You're right. You're right.
so the little brother was like, "Whore."
I don't know if you heard my commercial earlier for the Kevlar Real Feel breastplate that will keep you from getting stabbed as soon as you take your shirt off. I think there's a market for this.
They weren't on yet when you did that.
Oh, they weren't? Okay.
I did. I
Oh,
heard
yeah,
it.
she heard,
I
she
think
heard.
Tawny heard it too.
The back end, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of Kevlar, like I mean, I guess we can assume, since we don't think that, at least in this movie, Michael Myers is supernatural or anything. So he's just got bulletproof vest on underneath because he gets blasted like 5 times.
Right. Well,
and
he's a
been
psychiatrist.
working out for 15 years, bro.
He's a psychiatrist. How good of a shot could he be?
Yeah, dude.
These are all good points.
He missed
Yeah.
like every single time. He was just kind of acting.
They're all leg shots.
Seriously, though, I mean, look at how that psychiatrist was handling the gun.
Yes.
Like when he was in the house and that thing went down and broke the window and he startled, he was like,
Yeah.
like there was no way he was going to be shooting anyone.
Why, yeah, the cop after that wants nothing with like no part of him. From that point, he lost all credibility with the cop, and he's like, "Man, fuck this guy." That's why cops just get completely out of the picture.
Yeah, the cop never comes back. He's like, "You go around the back," and the cop's like, "Peace, I'm going home. Fuck this." He never shows back up again. It's so weird. There's so much like opening with like, "Oh, there's my dad. He's the cop," and it just never goes anywhere.
Yeah, and his own daughter was one of the victims.
Yeah.
Like, the
Also,
cop's just out of the movie.
Also, can we really talk about these young ladies smoking a joint in that car, and they open the window to this policeman
before they get up
and
to
he's
him.
like, "Don't smell a thing, ladies. Be safe."
Yeah.
The fuck?
I mean, back in the day, they probably had some. It was probably some terrible dirt weed, and it was just like
It smelled worse, bro. I bet you it smelled fucking terrible.
And the cop even mentions, he's like, "Oh, I just been out, a bunch of kids out there having fun, smoking weed, blah blah blah." And he's obviously knows what's going on, but
Dude, I don't think he knows what's going on.
But I absolutely thought about that when they rolled down that window. It's like, dude, he's gonna smell it.
Yeah, they're like, keep the windows up until we pull up to him. And then he walks up and then she rolls the window down.
Well, I just love like 5 minutes before she's smoking the joint, she's like, "Oh my God, I got to get my chemistry book so I can do my chemistry homework on Halloween night."
And she's like, "Fuck it, let's smoke a joint." Pretty great. All right. Well,
I've got a couple more things. I just want to mention, as far as Halloween, the coolest thing about watching this now is starting to see like, okay, there's little references, pop culture references and things that you can like point out now, like the tropes, all of the horror movie tropes. Like, I mean, Scream. It's like they talk about all of these, and it seems like now watching after watching Scream a long time ago, now watching Halloween, it's like a lot of what they talk about seems to be referencing Halloween just about more than any of the other movies.
Killer's never dead until he's dead. You know what I mean?
Just
he's
like
always gonna come back.
Like even the Bob, when he's gonna go get the beers out of the fridge, he's like, the whole "be right back" type thing. It's like all of these little things we're hitting. When she discovers the 3 bodies in the room, or it was 3 bodies, the 3 bodies in the room. Completely reminded me of Summer School when the substitute comes in and they're all, because like the way they film it, it's like you got this first like horrific thing, and all of a sudden, the next horrific thing, the next horrific thing. It's like just kind of like she's bouncing between these, and that kind of reminded me of Summer School. So I love all these little homages from other movies that I've seen referencing Halloween and probably some other horror movies.
Of course, Brad's got to get Summer School mentioned.
Oh, I got to give it a Summer School reference.
So now we've talked about Summer School
and Strange Brew.
We've talked about Strange Brew. Okay. So as long as we get
Scott Pilgrim.
As long as we get Scott Pilgrim and fucking Clerks into the next one, we'll be good.
Yeah, I think that'll be the 4. That'll be rounding third, going home.
Hey, guys, how cool is it to have a couple of experts on the podcast?
Dude, I love it.
They're
I
the
love
best.
it. Ladies, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. Everybody go out and download, subscribe to Chicks in a Horror Flick. They are doing the Lord's work. We appreciate them. Any last words, ladies?
That was such an amazing compliment. We're doing the Lord's work. We're going to use that now. Thank you so much. I want to say we are doing the Lord's work. And thank you so much for having us on your show. We talk about you guys all the time. We love your show. And we are constantly going, gosh, we want to be back on their show. We want to have them on our show. It's such a blast.
I appreciate when
what
you guys.
Else, Johnny?
I was going to say, you guys were recapping some of like your favorite moments from the last year of episodes. And you guys threw a little shout out to us. And we appreciate
Thank you so
that
much.
so much.
Yeah.
And now look, we can do it again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tawny?
Oh, I felt like Felicia did a really great job. I didn't think I had anything else to add. That was perfectly said. No, but I will echo what she said. Like, we love you guys, and like any opportunity to be on your show, for sure, we are going to jump at the chance because it's just like so much fun, and I love listening to you guys. So,
well, speaking of, we'd love to have you back next week to be part of our draft.
Yeah. So a little Dark Lord told me that y'all would be back to do the draft, and here comes the music, and I think that's your exit music. Thank you so much, ladies. I hope you guys have a great night, and we'll see y'all next week.
thanks.
Thank you.
Are you looking for a place for all things horror and don't know where to go?
Well, you've came to the right place, my friend. We are the Graveyard Club podcast. For all your horror needs, visit us on YouTube and Spotify, and you can follow us over on Instagram at the Graveyard Club Pod. See you there.
Ciao.
This episode of Bez Video Kingdom is brought to you by Dr. Samuel Loomis, private psychiatrist. Got a troubled individual in your family and you definitely don't want any nosy coworkers to know about them? Send them to Sam. Thinking your husband is on the verge of a murderous rampage, but you definitely don't want to alert the neighbors, even if it's likely he's going to go through with it? Send him to Sam. With Dr. Samuel Loomis, private psychiatrist, you've got a trusted doctor who will do everything to keep your loved one's case an absolute secret, even if they are out stabbing and choking local teens. That's how important HIPAA laws are to him. Even if they are in the midst of a psychotic breakdown with very real threats of harm to others, Dr. Sam will shut his fucking mouth because he ain't no snitch. Dr. Sam will find a location important to the patient's history and quietly stand at that precise location all day without notifying a soul in order to let your loved one express some of those violent tendencies before they are returned to custody. There is no case too extreme for Dr. Samuel Loomis, and he's always eager to drop all his other patients to put all his efforts into not stopping your loved one from committing atrocities. Dr. Samuel Loomis, private psychiatrist. Privacy is his middle name.
Better call Sam. That's good. Fuck.
Is it a one-night stand, or do you stab a man or choke him or take him home to mom and dad? It's like fuck, marry or kill. It's shag, snack, body bag.
Choking and stabbing. That's the
choking and stabbing.
I mean, you know,
that's Michael Myers. That's
what he does.
Tools of choice.
I was actually surprised that there was more choking in this movie than stabbing, or actually equal parts.
Maybe it's equal.
Yeah, it is equal. But
yeah, because he stabs the first one.
Yeah, and then
choke.
Couple choke. He goes stab choke, or is it?
He chokes the one dude before he stabs him into the wall.
Stab.
That's
choke,
a
stab.
combination. Stab choke.
Does he after the telephone wire? Does he also stab her? Or does he just choke her?
No, he just chokes her.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, but because you think about this movie, you think about Mike Myers, and the knife is very iconic.
Yeah, I'm thinking a lot of blood and guts.
Tons of
just
stabbing.
people getting just hacked up.
I'm rethinking my choking fetish now.
Now, did he miss on purpose when he swung at Lori, or what was that? Because like
I thought he was trying to cut her bra strap.
Yeah.
Oh, he wanted to see the titties before he could kill her.
He's like, I cannot kill you until that shirt comes off. So he was just going for the bra strap. It didn't work out, and that is why Lori is still with us. Thank God.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that was kind of strange because like she was teed up for an easy kill, and he just totally missed. And I don't know. It's just,
I like our theory. I think our theory is holding a lot of water now.
I don't know.
Holding a lot of breaths. So so we're gonna say, just like the song says, we're playing fuck, marry, or kill, snag, shag, body bag. If you're gonna snag something from this movie, Mr. Bradley, what are we snagging?
You want me to shag first?
No, I said I wanted you to snag. Did you hear what I said?
Well,
Am I speaking English?
Is it snag, shag, body bag?
Snag, shag, body bag. That's why I said snag.
Well, it's shag, snag, body bag.
Snag, shag, body bag.
Remix.
If he keeps saying it over and over again, it'll become right.
All right.
Is it marry, fuck, kill?
Shag, snag, body bag. I'd like you to shag something from this movie, Brad.
I got it. I'm gonna shag no backstory for the killer. I think there's something to be said about this movie. He's just straight up.
It makes it scarier.
He likes a killing. He starts off when he's a little kid, does some killing. They put him in a little prison for a while. They're the psychiatric ward. He breaks out. He's going back to some killing. Yeah. And you don't get any backstory. Like
how did the what's Donald Pleasance the doctor like he knows he's so evil. How does he know he's so evil? Just like literally by
he says he basically saw him in his eyes. He's just
looked
like,
into
this
his eyes.
motherfucker is going to be
evil.
killing people as soon as he gets out, because he's scared to death from the beginning. When he gets to the psychiatric ward and like realizes that he's escaped, he's just like, shit is terrible. Let's not tell anybody about this.
Right.
This is the most evil
Keep
person
this
I've
under
ever
our
met.
hats.
We're just going to kind of keep it quiet. I'm going to slowly drive back to the town where I know he's going, but let's just not really talk to anybody about
Well, that's where they fucked up with Hannibal Lecter. They told everybody about it. The media was all over it. You got to keep these things under your hat.
Right.
Well, yeah, until a few more people get killed. Then you can kind of solve the case.
I like to think that he looked into his eyes and he actually had like severe macular degeneration, and he just was like losing his fucking, you know what I mean? His eyes just looked dark like that because it was like when you see an old dog with a fucking roomy eye.
Yeah.
And it's just like
He's just like, this motherfucker, okay, he's got problems. He wants to do some killing. And yeah, it does make it scarier. And like, I think that's the thing that's going for this. I can imagine being somebody in 1978 going to the theater watching this being like, my God, like there's people like this out there. And
my goodness, by George, great Scott.
by golly, they're just killing people for no reason.
He's killing dogs now? My God.
So yeah, he's just straight up crazy, and I really dig that about that. Like they're just like, you don't need backstory.
You don't need a lot.
This guy just killed
He's just
people.
crazy.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what he does. Get over it.
Shag, snag, body bag, shagging.
Yeah. I'm gonna shag the psych ward driving academy because obviously they have a really good one because the kid is put away at 6 years old, spends his life in the psych ward, and suddenly he fucking can drive a car.
Okay,
So it's got to be the best fucking school around.
I'm gonna say
shag the
this
shit out of
though.
it.
We all at some point got into a car without ever driving before, and we did it.
So
Right?
Nate asked my son to help him build a chicken coop, and my son's 13 years old and has never been behind the wheel of anything. And so Nate's driving the golf cart, and he tells my son, "Hey, you want to try and drive the golf cart?" Hunter's like, "Sure." So he gets behind the wheel of the golf cart, and then Nate stops the story, and I'm like, "Wait, how did it go?" And he's like, "He ran into the shop a couple times." Just like a 40 by 40 building. I hope you're not listening. To this,
So I'm wrong. I'm wrong.
I'm pretty sure you're wrong.
That like you can't like.
what I'm saying is I think it takes a few tries.
Right.
Okay.
Although
you
this
don't-
is the type of guy that if he did run down a few pedestrians, he'd be like,
Yeah.
I think it's fine.
But I mean, he's already mastered certain skills like creepily stalking along and driving real slow.
Or slamming on the brakes after he gets
Actually,
yelled at.
Slam on the brakes, yeah.
I take it back. I was just thinking about his drive from there to the town, but you're right. Once
spends
he gets
the whole
in the
movie
town,
in the car.
he does a lot of fucking strategic driving. You're totally right. I think that he's definitely had some training.
Yeah.
He's obeying traffic signals.
He probably
knows what he's
parallel
doing.
parked at one point, you know.
So I'm gonna
Okay.
so I'm
You
gonna
got a
go
point
right
there.
along with Scott, which his shag was sort of a body bag, -2. And it is the peripheral vision of every person in this movie. Like for some reason in 1978, no one could see out of the side of their eye. There is so many moments where like no one knows that dude is right there, or like when the kid's walking home. Like, so I have this thing, and I tell my mom all the time because my mom is a walker, so she like walks around the neighborhood, and I see her all the time. And I drive the same truck that I've driven 4 years, and I would think that if I see my mother, I would be
Like,
able to
"Hey."
wave to
Yeah.
her and say hi. Fucking no peripheral vision at all.
She's
I will roll
hyper-focused.
up on her, honking the horn, hanging out of the fucking car, waving. The dog's going crazy, wanting to bite me. She will not look. She will not look.
She grew up in the Halloween
the
era,
same,
man.
exactly the same as like this kid when he's getting stalked by the fucking car that's driving 1 mile an hour, the same speed that he's walking. Never looks over.
Dude, his pumpkin just got smashed. He's a little pissed off.
yeah.
But I've decided that I'm shagging Lori's peripheral vision because she is the only person in the movie that has any peripheral vision.
Yeah.
She's
This
the
is
only
true.
one that notices
Yeah.
fucking creep boy, and that's what I'm
I'll
going
tell you
with.
what. I mean, I already shagged, but like the whole him just sitting there when she's in class and she looks over and there he is. Like those shots are creepy. Like,
Yeah, that's-
and when she looks out the window, the laundry's hanging on there on the lines, whatever. Like those are some fucking great shots. And
Dude, those are famous shots,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
so good.
The best one is when the camera kind of like, I don't know if the camera pans out or how they do it,
And the
but
mask kinda
all of a
shows up.
sudden it just shows up right there. That's fucking great.
That's legit.
All right. So snagging, Scotch Beck, If we're snagging, what are we snagging?
If there's anything I'm going to snag from this, it's got to be the music.
I agree.
I mean, from the fucking top, it's weird. It's like it's the whole thing starts with the music, and probably the least scary pumpkin I've ever seen. But anyway,
it's true.
Yeah, that whole title, whatever. But the fact that John Carpenter did the music himself, and it's such an iconic scene. And then not only that, but the musical jump scares and the sound effects that go with it are so well done and so perfect. And like, seriously, Brad made the joke earlier. When just the light shutting off and the little music thing.
Do the noise that it made?
It made me jump.
Earlier. Do the noise again.
Like, it's so great. It was super well crafted. The sound design on this is so great. And I love it.
So I'm co-signing with them because I said Carpenter's score doing the work. Because like there's not, like, I was surprised there is not a whole lot of action in this movie. Like we talked, you said your son fell asleep after 45 minutes. Like, because after that first initial scene, you have a long time before anybody else gets killed. A lot of music, though, is creating some suspenseful moments. Oh shit, is something? Oh no, here it goes. Oh no, never mind. It's like that happens over and over
and over.
Until you finally act. Oh,
it's called edging.
Completely edging. This movie is a master class in edging.
The kid at the beginning did not use edging.
So one thing that I read on Wikipedia was that Carpenter showed this movie to a bunch of people before the score was on it. And they were decidedly like, this is not scary at all. We don't get it. Like, this is whack. They added the score, and like one of the people that had watched it went to the theater and watched it in the theater and was like, this shit's whack. Carpenter's crazy. Like, you guys are going to hate this movie. Went and saw it and was like, it's fucking terrifying. Absolutely scary because they added the music.
Yep.
Which is what a good score can do to a movie, right? So
before we move on, I just want to say, talking about the different themes from movies, I have like a Halloween playlist that has this on it. And until I watch the movie, like now it really clicks. It's like, this is the iconic score. Like there's songs in Friday the 13th. There's songs in
Friday the 13th is more of the like the sound effect. It's not really a song.
This is just it, and I love the fact that it just is continually just.
You're gonna hit that button.
It's so basic too. That's why I'm saying that like there's got to be a whole bunch of fucking SoundCloud rappers that are like, Can you start freestyling?
Nah, I cannot do that. I don't get paid enough for that. But yeah, it's very basic.
Palms are sweaty, mom spaghetti.
But it's got that pace. I love the fucking pace of it. It's just that pace.
And so
that driving little beat is just perfect.
I got put on the spot earlier, and I'm pretty sure it's like in like 10/8, which would be so 10/8 notes per measure. So it's like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2
there you
1
go.
2. There it is. So it's 10/8.
And over and over and over again. It's fucking great.
Yeah, it's fucking great.
So I want to pick the score, but since y'all already co-signed, I don't think we can triple co-sign. You can't triple stamp and double stamp. So
we never have.
I'm going to say that my snag from this movie is for sure the first person view of what the killer is seeing.
Yeah.
And especially I like when he's kind of goes upstairs and then he picks up that mask and puts the mask on, and then you kind of get to see through the mask, which adds another element of like you can't see as clearly, and you're kind of like, what am I looking at? What am I seeing here? Like, is that a boobie? I'm not sure it's a boobie. If it is a boobie, I know she's getting killed.
I was straight up surprised, and again, this is with me having no knowledge of this movie except that I know Michael Myers exists. I didn't know his origin story was, goddamn, he stabbed his sister when he was a little kid. Like, I was like, when all of a sudden he walks out and it was the kid, I was like, the fuck? What's going on here? What am I watching?
The sister says, like, I don't know, Michael's around here somewhere. I'm supposed to be watching him or whatever.
Yeah. I was like, oh, the kid's just playing, but here's this killer is going to fuck some shit up. And I was like, oh, that's him.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like we said, the whole frozen parents outside.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. But
unfortunately, I actually had a lot of this spoiled ahead of time. Like, so I'd seen that opening scene before. I'd seen that it was him. I'd seen pictures, and actually, like, just kind of looking this movie up, trying to find where it was at. The trailer literally has him in the little clown suit, like that shot as the screenshot. So like, okay, well, that kind of tells you right at the beginning. And I'd also seen the scene with him getting stabbed and hung up on the wall, and like for some reason I'd watched that whole scene before too. So some of the scares and some of the murders I'd actually already seen over the years, which kind of took away from the.
You know, there's a question that we didn't ask earlier that I need to ask now. The girl that's riding the psych ward with Dr. Loomis,
right? The nurse or whatever.
Does she just bounce? Like she's like, fuck this, I'm out. Like he's already talked about how spooky this dude is, and like now that he's escaped, where did she go? Did he just drop her off at her house, or did
she's rounding up the rest of the escaped convicts that were fucking milling around in that
she's like
field.
They just let them roam free like they're cattle?
I thought that was fucking great line.
In the rain?
That was such a good line. Do they just let him out like this in the rain? He's like, pull the car to the guard gate. Pull to the guard gate. We can't tell anyone.
And then the car gets jacked.
Dude, yeah, they said that like when the hand smacks the window like that.
Yeah.
I guess, and I didn't go back and watch it. I should have gone back and watched it since I bought it on Apple, but he has a wrench that they painted flesh colored on the palm side of his hand so that it would shatter the window when they hit it. And I guess they said the from what I read was that like it works great for the shot, but if you're looking for it, you can totally see the wrench.
I'm sure. Yeah, back in the day, probably it didn't show up, but with HD now, I'm sure you can probably actually
exactly
see it for reals. That's funny.
And they also said that they filmed the one of the signature things in the movie is a lot of it's like really dark, and I guess that was just because they didn't have money for lighting. They were like, "This works perfect."
Happy accident.
It was quite dark. I mean, there was a lot of scenes where you're just like, "Fuck, I can't barely see."
Yeah. All right, body bagging, Bradley. What are we body bagging? Your body bag might be pretty full, but let's see what you got.
This is something that I think we can all agree on, and maybe you have it as well. But bad horror movie decisions. I mean, this is like a textbook
ultimate
bad horror movie decision situation here because there's so many bad decisions made, and especially by Laurie. Like,
my wife was so mad the whole movie. She was like, "What is she doing?"
I'm gonna lead the killer right back to these little kids, and then I'm just gonna be like, "Hey, just go upstairs. You'll be all right." It's like,
open the door. It's me again. He's dead. I swear this time.
And every time she thinks she kills him, and then she just like throws the knife down, or she drops the knife, and she's like, "Oh fuck, I guess my job's done."
I'm gonna turn my back to him, lean against this wall.
She's just like, "I've killed him. I'm not going to look at him. I'm just going to sit here."
Yeah, the last one where she's just in the doorway. Like she's just like, "I'm just going to post up in this doorway here. Hey kids, you know what? Go downstairs. Things are great. I think we're all good here. I'm just going to kind of stand here and reminisce on my whole evening."
You're like, "There's a strange psychiatrist in the living room."
Yeah, there was a lot of just really bad decisions made by a lot of folks, but Laurie is kind of the worst. Like, it's like if you want to learn how if you want to learn how to survive, don't do what she did. She did everything.
She gets smarter and smarter as the years go on.
I hope so, because when she I'm gonna go in the closet and I'm gonna wrap it up here, and I don't think he's gonna be able to get in. I'll just kind of tuck myself. And then
he struggled so bad with that fucking the closet door tied with a fucking.
Those things are so flimsy. He's just like acting like, my God.
This guy that fucking threw his hand through a car window is like, "Oh, I don't know how I'm going to get in here."
And since when do closets like that have a lock on them on the inside too?
No, she tied it with a
necktie.
Yeah, she tied it with something. But and then the fact that she gets away with one kind of jabbing him with a needle, and he acts like fuck. He takes a little sewing needle in the neck. He acts like, "Oh my, I'm fucking done." He just flops down like he's dead.
Yeah,
and then she gets the little coat hanger and just kind of jabs him with it. And he's like, "Oh my God. Like, how did she get so perfectly in his eye like that?" I don't know.
Both of those scenes are quite hilarious. When she fucking unfolds the fucking coat hanger and stabs him with it, I'm like, what is happening
Yeah.
right now?
I was like, what is she? How is she going to get out of this? I'm like, okay, she's getting a coat. Hey, tell me she doesn't just jab him with it. Oh, she fucking jabbed him with it. That gives her enough to get the knife and kill him. So, or semi-kill him.
Right.
But, yeah.
Scotty, what are we body bagging from this movie besides all the things you just said?
Right. We
Excuse me, I apologize.
we kind of discussed it a little bit earlier with the two chicks, Tawny and Felicia. But specifically the brunette, and I can't remember her character's name, but her acting in general. And
so bad when they're walking.
It's so bad. And she has this one line in particular when he drives by and she says something to him and then he slams on the brakes. And then she says, I hate a guy with a car and no sense of humor. Like, so what the fuck is that about? And so some of the dialogue in this is so bad and so laughable. And it makes me wonder, like, back in 1978, did people think that was hilarious or did they think that was good shit back then?
This is exactly my point of saying earlier.
question.
Like, did people speak differently? Like, did they have a different dialect or like syntax to their speech in 1978 than they do now? And then they were like, this is good. Right. Like, definitely we need to keep this in the movie.
If one of them started talking to me,
shit.
if one of them started talking to me today, I'd just be like, the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
Yeah.
do you have a speech impediment or like, are you just a really just dullard or like what's going on here?
And we're not even trying to like, if you have a speech impediment, like a legit speech impediment, that's fine.
Right.
But like, let's hear about it in the movie before you start talking so that we know what the fuck is happening. If she's like, if they're like, oh, this is my friend with the bad speech impediment, they'll be like, okay, now we get what's happening in the movie right now. But then it's like,
yeah, why can't she just be like, oh, hey, you're into that whatever the dude's name is that she keeps mentioning his name, like the one she wants to date. Oh, you're into him? That'd be cool. Like, yeah, you guys should probably date. Oh, you guys want to date? Oh, that's so. We'll just call him and we can set that. Like just the way, just like so like overacting and like over dramatized. Like I don't know.
I also think that it's been a long time since we've hung out with teenage girls, and that might just be like what the fuck they sound like, dude. I think that could possibly be
totally.
Totally.
What about? And I'd love to say, what about Bob? Bob was just a weird character. He's just like, oh yeah, let's just fuck on the couch. No, we need to go up to the bed. We need to go get under the covers in the bed too. Right. Like,
yeah.
Who's doing that? Where it's like, no, you just need a soft spot you can lay down. You're not going to go get under the covers.
Bob's
in
one of these
some random person's bed.
He didn't want her to see what he was working with, dude. He was like, turn the lights off.
And then they're
covers.
smoking cigarettes in the bed afterwards. They're just like, they got the fucking beer cans all over the floor. I was like, God damn. Ruthless.
And that was just a babysitting house, right?
Yeah, that wasn't their house.
The parents are going to come home and be like, "You've been smoking cigs in bed? What the fuck?"
It was the brunette's house. It was the cop's house.
It was the cop's house? Yeah. The one that never comes home and never shows back up again?
Yes.
Jesus.
Just give a fuck about his daughter. Oh, you're smoking with your friends? Fuck you. I don't care. I got to figure out this robbery here.
So my body bag, I think Felicia brought it up earlier, and I think we've all sort of touched on it, but one of the worst body bags I can give to this movie is that there's not enough fucking body bags. There is big gaps between the kills, and I think that this goes back to my theory of like, we've just been TikTok to death that we think that like shit needs to happen like boom, 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 boom. But like, it just seems to me like there was so many opportunities for him to kill people and he didn't.
Right.
And I guess they're trying to build tension, but like, let's fucking get some release here, dude.
Well, let's also say that, I mean, it's a 90-minute movie, and tell me if I'm wrong, but 1/45 of the movie, so 1/45 of the movie.
This is a great unit of measure.
Is her walking across the street to go investigate the house. Was that not 2 minutes, at least a 2-minute scene of her walking?
Did you say it was 1/45?
It was 1/45 of the movie. 90 minutes, 1/45 of the movie.
I fucking hate you so much right now.
1/45 is my new, like...
I know, it's this ridiculous amount of measurement.
I want to make a dick measuring joke. How big is your dick? It's 6 inches and 1/45.
But the idea that it's like, that was 2 minutes of a 90-minute movie was just a walk across the street from first person perspective.
But weren't you tense during that whole walk?
Was it 2 minutes though? I mean, I pressed the 10 seconds.
I don't think it was
I was
2
like,
minutes.
wait a sec. We're like halfway across the street, 10 seconds. Wait, we're like still on the street, 10 seconds. Okay, we're on this 10 seconds. We're approaching the house now.
Right.
It was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I understand the
I
building
take
of the
it back.
10
I changed my body bag. My body bag is Brad using the 10-second skip forward button while watching this movie.
Yeah.
What the fuck is
Seriously.
happening?
That's me, a product of the
TikTokification of America.
Of the internet generation.
Dude.
For sure.
10-second skip forward button is only for when you record the Niner games and you're watching them.
Oh, so
and
you can get to the next play.
Somebody gets tackled. 1, 2, 3. 30 seconds.
Boom. Next
play. 1, 2, 3. Somebody gets tackled, and then you watch the whole game in 40 minutes.
See? My hatred for you, though, is not watching that fucker live.
What am I going to watch? Fucking Brock Purdy looked like the greatest quarterback that ever played and then looked like the worst quarterback that ever played in 2 games?
Yeah, that's 2 podcasts where we went from the highs of the Niners last podcast when we were recording. We were just beat the Cowboys, and now we're on the lows of losing the fucking Browns.
Lowly Browns. I think we have some fans in Ohio. Don't we have an Ohio fan?
I'm sure. Fuck your Browns.
Jeez.
I hate them.
He's like, I'm a Bengals fan. Fuck you. All right. Moving on to our next category. Bradley.
Crackle, Pluto, HBO, Find Anime on Crunchyroll, Peacock, Hulu, Disney, Netflix, Tubi, Sling TV, Showtime, Fubo. What the fuck is Fubo? I'm sure it'll cause a sensation. It's a streaming recommendation.
All right. We are going to look for some streaming recommendations, and this is the BVK Halloween edition. Hopefully. Maybe it's not. I don't know what these guys picked for their streaming recommendations. So I'm going to throw it to my man, Scotty B. What are we streaming that makes you think of Lori slowly walking across the street?
Well, I went with something that makes me think of Halloween, spooky season, and a movie that I enjoy to watch. I just love watching this every holiday season, Halloween season, and that is Zach's favorite movie, Cabin in the Woods, because it's I absolutely love it. He thinks it's a piece of shit, and I'm not picking this to spite him. I actually really enjoy this. If you're kind of like me and you don't like horror movies necessarily, but you want something kind of fun and kind of spooky and kind of not very different from an actual horror movie, Cabin in the Woods is for you. I'm not a horror aficionado. I don't like horror movies, but I really enjoyed it. It's super fun, a little bit gory, and I just really love it. So check out Cabin in the Woods. I didn't even see where it's streaming, but it's got to be somewhere.
Well, shit, I was waiting for that because I was thinking like, oh, you know what? This might be one for me and the fam.
Yeah, I think they would enjoy it.
If we liked Ready or Not, are we ready for Cabin in the Woods?
I think so. There's some boobies in it.
We can
also
deal with
watched
boobies.
with my young son.
Right.
The boobies are the high point. I'm glad you brought that up.
It's a funny scene with the boobies too, with everybody watching them. Spoiler alert.
All right, I'm checking this out.
Okay, so I'll go next. This is one of my favorite sort of. I don't want to say that slasher is like my deal, but just sort of. We talked about it earlier. Real people that are killers. That stuff that could really happen. So I've got a couple of recommendations here. One of them is Hush. There's a guy, Mike Flanagan, who's done a bunch of really cool stuff. He's got a new show called The House of Usher that just came out on Netflix that I haven't watched yet that I think will probably be good because he's got a great track record. But anyways.
It's Edgar Allan Poe, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And you know what? Deluxe Edition Network, they were just talking about that all over the chat today. They were talking about Mike Flanagan. So.
Oh, really? Well, he's amazing. He did. He's done a couple of things that I thought came off really, really good. But what we're going to go with today is a movie called Hush, and it is on Netflix, and it stars all of the people that are in all of the Mike Flanagan stuff, and it is about a woman who is deaf. And there is a killer that is trying to kill her. She lives alone, and he.
I saw the trailer for that. That
Dude,
looks spooky as shit.
And it is fucking really, really good. Kate Siegel plays the final girl, if you will, and it's on Netflix, and everybody should check it out. Also, everyone should check out the one that I recommend always at Halloween time, and that is The Strangers, the original The Strangers, with my girl Aerosmith's daughter.
Liv Tyler.
Check that out.
Hey, asshole, you always also recommend
Ernest
Scared Stupid.
Oh, God, I didn't even think about that. If you want to watch a movie with your kids that you will have to fucking have them sleep in your bed because they're going to be scared as fuck, watch Ernest Scared Stupid. Because they will start the movie going, what the fuck is this stupid-ass movie? And then they will end the movie in your bed because they're too scared to sleep on their own bed. So watch Ernest Scared Stupid.
And by the way, Cabin in the Woods is on Max.
Oh, there you go.
I'm recommending Scream just because I've never been a horror movie fan, but when I watched Scream, I was like, this is the horror movie that was made just for me because it is scary. I mean, there's some fucking gruesome, scary scenes, but the tongue-in-cheekness of it, the idea of calling out the rules of horror movies.
Well, that's in Scream 2.
No. He does that. He does that in the first one too.
First one, yeah.
In Scream 1?
Yeah, because they had the screening of the horror movies with Seth Green, and then he's like, he's going through all the different.
They're watching Halloween while he's
going through the rules. Going through the rules, and that's remember Matt Lillard. Matt Lillard is like
Lillard.
I'll be right back, and then
You're absolutely right.
And they talk about
Jamie
Lee Curtis and how they're talking about her boobs or something. He's like, no, she doesn't show her boobs, not until Trading Places.
Yeah,
she doesn't show her tits till she goes legits. Was his line?
There you go. So
that was in the movie.
No, that's true. So Scream is on Max, Fubo, and Paramount TV. Maybe all of those.
Sure,
but Max for sure.
And you've probably seen Scream, but watch it again. It's fucking great.
It is
a really good movie. It's exciting.
The mind fuckery that they played on people when they first saw it, when they killed Drew Barrymore in the very beginning.
It was promoted as Drew Barrymore's on the poster. She's
so crazy.
By far the most well-known person in the movie. And then she dies in the first 5 minutes. It was kind of like when Steven Seagal died in, I think, Executive Decision.
Yes.
And he died in like the first 5 minutes. It was like, oh, I thought it was a Steven Seagal movie. Guess not. He just got sucked out the plane.
Wow.
So
spoilers.
There you go. Spoilers. We
I was going to watch Executive Decision when we got home, guys. Fuck you.
All right. Should we move on?
Love it.
No jet wash for Maverick, Meg still on that goose stick. Iceberg list Titanic, Leo's drawing that nude shit. Jim fucks Nadia like we all thought he should. Ricky and Doughboy get the fuck out the hood. Luke hooks up with Leia just like he's intending. It's time for a reshelf and alternate endings.
So we like to make up some alternate endings on this, although not all of us came prepared. No, I'm joking. I'll go last. So Brad, start us off because I got one in homage to our boy Nate and Keith.
Oh, that's beautiful because mine's super simple. So Dr. Loomis, he unloads his revolver on Michael, and Michael just finally falls off the balcony, and you're like, God, this guy's been stabbed. He's been beat up and stuff, and now he's been shot. So this dude's dead. He's laying there on the ground. Looks like he's dead. You don't see any blood though, so you're like, well, maybe. Dr. Loomis, he finally comes back out there. I just want, instead of Michael Myers just being not there the next time Loomis looks out, I want him to be like laying there on the ground, fucking rip open his shirt and show a bulletproof vest. Fucking flip him off to go running off into the woods.
I had that exact thought. I was like, how funny would it be if it just cuts straight to him and you think he's going to be laying there dead, but he's just standing there flipping him off. Just like no bulletproof vest. He's just like, fuck you. And then he runs off.
That's what I was hoping for. I was like, if he just fucking does the
fuck you, Doc.
Well, yeah, it's like Doc from Back to the Future where he fucking pulls open the vest. You're like, oh, he bulletproof vest. And he's just like, fuck you, and runs off.
He had the real feel Kevlar breastplate on.
Dude, we're gonna sell a lot of those, I think.
Dude, I think so too.
I think after this pod goes out, people are gonna be like, I need that. Can you BVK promoted? We will make a lot of money off that, more than we make off the pod.
So this one's a shout out to my boy Keith. So this is my thought. So it'd be easy to say that Michael Myers would be the vampire, right? But what's gonna happen is Michael Myers kills all these young kids, right? Mm-hmm. And then Laurie our final girl, she kills Michael Myers. And then she thinks she's okay for like the 5th time in the movie. She's like, everything's fine. Everything's fine now. I'm just going to sit here.
Lets the kids out.
Yes. So
starts doing yoga next to the body.
Who shows up but our fucking our awesome doctor,
Dr. Loomis,
who's like the perfect vampire slayer guy, right? He's gonna have like a cross and some holy water and like old school movie vampire guy. But the twist is that he wasn't the vampire. All the vampires are all the like kids that he has killed, and they all come back to life. Even the dog. We got like our Cujo moment with the dog. You know what I mean? And they all come back, and then they all attack Laurie, right? So they come in and attack Laurie. She's like defending herself, trying to fend them off. The doctor guy is there. He's like a cool vampire slayer guy. He kills a couple of them. Laurie kills a couple of them. But they're gonna get her because in this movie he kills more young kids, and they're all coming. They're all gonna get her. Maybe the 2 kids end up being vampires too. He kills them. We didn't know, but they come back and try to kill her.
And the skunk.
Yep. And then what we get is that amazing moment when all the vampires, the freaking Halloween Till Dawn, they're all like coming after Laurie, and then Michael Myers isn't dead. He comes back to life, comes in, kills all the vampires. Because he's like, I kill these bitches, not you vampires, and then he kills Laurie, right?
Wait, what?
Wait, he kills Laurie too? I thought he'd be like, he's like, no, hey, honestly, I'm crazy because I know what vampires are, and all I ever try to do is kill vampires.
No, I don't like that. I think that he just wants to be the one that kills her because he's like fixated on her.
Oh,
yeah. So he kills all the vampires, and then he comes in and kills.
So he saves the day, but then all of a sudden
he
just
saves
turns around
the
and
day
kills
just
her.
to not save the day.
Wow.
He saves the day.
That's a Zach movie.
They're
That's
like back to back. They think everything's cool.
Keith is gonna want that. You know what? Michael Myers actually just kills vampires. So he figured out that his sister was a vampire, so he killed her. They thought he was psycho, but all he wants to do is kill vampires, and he knows where they are, and he hunts them down.
He just kills all the vampires because they're trying to kill Laurie, and he's like, "No, I killed Laurie, not you."
That is such a Zach ending.
That's the Zach.
And she at one point,
Zach
all the
ever.
vampires are dead, and Michael's like laying down all tired because he just killed a bunch of vampires, and she just like lays down on the ground.
She wants
and
to
just,
like cuddle with him.
She
She's
just
like, good
sits
job,
there.
homie.
She just sits there, does her patented like Laurie move, where she's like, "I think everything's okay now. I'm just gonna sit here and pant."
She uses him as a pillow.
Yeah, and then she looks down, and Michael Myers' knife is like stabbed through her. That's my alternate ending.
Halloween Till Dawn.
Halloween Till Dawn. Much love, Keith.
I mean, I will say, I've spent a couple Halloweens where it almost was dawn by the time the Halloween was over. Some good times. Doing some rowdy, stupid shit.
That's what happens out here in the small town.
Do you
So what happens in the
Do you remember
sticks?
the Halloween with my brother's band at Brew Brothers? No, not Brew Brothers, but at Valley Brew in Stockton.
Oh, shit.
And he had a pumpkin on his head the entire.
I do.
What was your costume that day?
I think I forget. I don't think I wore the ballerina outfit for that one.
Oh, I do remember.
You had a ballerina outfit?
Oh, I had a fucking ballerina outfit. That thing, I used that many times.
No shit.
Yeah, I looked fantastic. But I do remember from that same gig that's when we saw Yoda the Pimp.
Yes,
When Aaron
costume contest.
Aaron Piazza walked in.
He won the costume contest as Yoda the Pimp.
He was in a pimp outfit, but a Yoda mask, and he came walking in just like a pimp strutting as Yoda
with a cane, just like
with
Yoda.
a cane, and it was fucking the most surreal, amazing thing you've ever seen.
P-Man.
Dude, that's amazing.
It's awesome.
Love it.
Friend of the podcast.
Yep.
Friend of the pod.
All right. What are we doing next week?
I think we're in a draft.
Oh, it's a draft.
And
there might be
of-
some special circumstances for this draft. What's going on, Zach? Tell us.
Well, Zach, am going to judge you, Brad, Scott, and the two lovely ladies from...
It's a 5-person draft.
you, Brad Scott.
Yeah, you, Brad. I'm saying you, comma, Brad, Scott, and the two lovely ladies from
Two Chicks and
a Horror Flick. That totally made sense. Fuck you guys.
We've been drinking.
It's getting late.
Yep. But that is what's happening next week. And what are we
We're going
drafting?
to draft. Well, are we going to use the actual definition or the one you made up?
Whatever you want.
So we are going to draft most memorable final girls from a horror movie.
Sounds about right.
It should be pretty awesome. I'm excited about it. The girls are excited about it. So tune in, find out which of the surviving females from a horror movie end up being on our lists. And
that's pretty much.
Yeah,
it's pretty much the same
works.
thing. Just quit laughing, Scott. We got to close the podcast out. Bye-bye.